Cheers and welcome back to Solar Phenom Training, where the smart get wise and the wise get wiser. Part 6 is solar photovoltaic shading issues. This is probably one of the most important part of designing and selling your system, is to make sure that you eliminate any shading issues now or shading issues that could occur in the future. Shading issues that possibly could occur in the future would be trees that are fast growing or that could end up being a nuisance to the homeowner's production in the future. So let's take a real quick look at what that means. What that means is this tree right here, if it was to grow taller, it's going to be in our sight from the sun to the actual array on the roof. What does the array on the roof need? Full sunlight to produce power. Now we're going to go back to our example of solar modules, how they are constructed. A solar module with no shading on it is operating at 100%. A solar module that, believe it or not, has this small amount of shadowing down here is only operating at 50%. Solar modules are constructed in a way that where the silicon is wired and soldered in a series that goes up and down this solar module. So when we take any part of shading on this module, we are knocking out a percentage of the module, and either the module is working at 100% or it's working at 50%. So just a small shadow in the corner of this module, it loses 50% production. This right here would definitely occur at 50% production loss if this module was shaded on the end. The bottom portion of the modules is very, very important because this is where all the wires end up being soldered together, is on the top and on the bottom. Just like this module right here has shading on the bottom, say 20% of the module, that is 100% production loss. We are going down here down to one of our incorrect installations by one of our competitors. We see that this big array, 30-40 modules in total, this looks like a palm tree to me. You can see one of the fronds right here. This whole solar array is not producing any power at all if it is on a central inverter system. This is a correct installation done by DEC Solar, which we have eliminated any shading issues, and we are producing at 100% power right now and in the future because we have eliminated any future issues that could occur from growing trees. So back to our tree slide. So if this roof in particular had a solar array on it, this tree was 40 feet away from this structure and it was 15 feet above the fascia line, we wouldn't have any issues because we are not twice as tall as to the distance of this structure. So my line right here shows you exactly what I mean. So from the bottom of the sun, say, to the fascia line, I have no shading. Now if I go down to this slide right here, and this tree is only 25 feet away from the structure, which means that this tree is basically 30 feet tall because it's 15 feet above this fascia line, I have issues because this tree is above my line. So it means that you're going to have an impact on shade on this tree. Two things that can be done, obviously, is we top the tree. Homeowner continues to top the tree if they love the tree and don't want to cut it down, or we basically eliminate this tree and eliminate any future shading issues that could occur. My personal opinion is talk to the homeowner and eliminate that tree instead of topping it, because what normally happens is the homeowner forgets to top it, and by the time they realize that the tree is causing issues and production loss up on their roof, they've lost a lot of production that they could have had, and they end up getting upset, and it's just better to totally eliminate the tree. So now we're going to go to another slide, and just really quickly learn how shading issues can be avoided, and how just a real simple tweak in the design could cause you a lot of grief and a lot more referrals. And that's what we're going for, is referrals and doing what's right by the homeowner and saving them as much money as they possibly can. So the sun the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and this is kind of the way that it goes. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Go back to our little production here. So this is north, so the sun is rising in the east and setting in the west. This is June 21st of the year. If you notice, the sun is very high in the sky in the summer months, and then December 21st, the sun is very low in the sky. So when we design systems, do we design them for worst possible situation? That's why, if you were to look at this slide is based on winter months, not summer months, because this sun would be really high in the sky in the summer months, and this tree would have no effect. But we are designing our systems for worst possible scenarios. We are designing our systems based on winter months. Summer months is the sun is very high in the sky. The winter months, the sun is very low in the sky, and the sun sets at a totally different azimuth than it does in the winter months. The sun rises and sets closer to the north in the summer, and it rises and sets closer to the south in the summer, which means it's lower in the sky. So let's go back to our Excel spreadsheet, and we'll look at this again. So the sun's here, and it's 12 noon in the afternoon. This tree is causing a shadow across this entire solar array. An array is all the modules put together. A module is one module. So this is a solar array. This is one module. This is a string of modules. This is a central inverter. This is an SMA 7000, and it is strung in a series of 10, 3 strings of 10 for a total of 30 modules. So right now, this system is not producing any power whatsoever. This module right here is shaded more than 50%, 100% loss here, 100% loss here. All of these strings are dead. So what do we do to eliminate the shading on this roof? Well, for one, we go to N-phase. So with an N-phase microinverter system, each module is its own entity. So if I was to show you an example of what happens on an N-phase system, these end modules right here are not working, either is that one. That's the way we avoid shading issues. So as this sun moves across this entire array, this tree is going to do stuff like this. So what happens as the sun keeps moving across and the tree keeps moving in position, we end up knocking out modules, and other modules start working again. So now we got this module, which is now working again, this module, which is dead. So we always have modules in this array that are working. This one may or may not be dead, or it may be working at a 50% capacity, because if you remember from our last slide, this little tiny triangle right here is shading this module. So this one could be working at 50%. May or may not. That's one way to eliminate it. Another way to eliminate it without going to N-phase is we string it a little bit different. So to string it a little bit different would mean that we would say, take these modules right here, put them on one string, take these modules right here, put them on another string. So we got 9, 10, and then we're going to take 8 and 2, so we might do this. And then we're going to take these modules and make them yellow. All of these modules will now be yellow, and this is the way we can string it like that. So if this tree does this, then we still have two strings that are still working. As the sun comes across the sky, this tree is going to do one of these numbers, and we might end up knocking out this string, which is not good. Is that the proper way to design a solar system? No, it's not. If this was to happen and you had a tree that was doing what this tree is doing, this would most definitely be a in-phase microinverter system, because you're basically knocking out 33% of this entire array by this tree. The tree needs to be cut down, or the system needs to go to end phase. So now let's talk a little bit about a chimney, because trees are bad, telephone poles are bad, anything that casts a shadow over the entire array needs to move to end phase. So now let's go to a chimney. So chimneys are another windshield wiper. What I mean by windshield wiper is you're basically, when the sun comes across the sky, it's doing this to the array. It's knocking out modules, putting some back on. It's just not good. Any type of windshield wiper on a roof is not good. The evil chimney, which sometimes the chimney's here, sometimes the chimney's here, sometimes the chimney's in the middle of the roof. Let's work on a chimney that's in the middle of the roof where we have solar modules that are underneath. And let's actually also pretend that we have other roof space on the sides that we can place modules. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pretend that we have other roof space to move modules around. So this is in the middle of the roof line. Can I put modules down here? Because don't forget, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So my only shadow is going to be above. So I'm going to actually eliminate, I couldn't put modules here anyway. So I'm going to eliminate all of these modules. I'm going to eliminate 8 modules because my shadow is going to come this way. I'm going to eliminate that one, and I'm also going to eliminate this one. So now I have 1, 3, I have 10 modules that I need to replace. So 10 modules, I'm going to put modules here. Make that one string. I'm actually going to need to restring it. So now I'm going to put some modules there. So I need 3 strings of 10. So I got 6, 9, 10. So these ones are going to be orange. That's going to be my string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These 2 are going to be in that string. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've added too many modules. So what I'm going to do is these are not going to be modules anymore. I'm going to get rid of those. So now I have, this is my one string. In yellow is one string. In orange is my other string. And then red is my other string. So now as the sun comes across the sky, it's pretty low in the sky right now, but by the time it gets here, it's producing power, and my chimney is going to cast a shadow across here. This is my shadow of my chimney. As the sun comes over here, it's going to cast a shadow here. I have no modules in that area. As the sun comes over here, it's going to cast a shadow across here. It's one way to eliminate shading issues as long as you have the roof space to do it. One way to eliminate shading is to move modules around and restring them as long as you have the roof space to do it. I needed to say that twice because don't forget, you need to make sure that you have the roof space to do it. We're going to talk about end phase in 1 second. Alright, well I hope that made sense on the central inverter side, and on the end phase side we are just going to get going, and in a future lesson I'm going to go in greater depth and detail on stringing and microinverters, but we're going to talk about shading again. So on an end phase microinverter system, if you notice, everything's green. Why is everything green? Because there's no stringing in an end phase system. Each module is its own entity. So as the sun starts to rise during the day, each module starts turning on individually as they get full sunlight on them. So these modules are turning on right now. As the sun keeps moving across the sky, these modules keep turning on. Are these modules going to turn on? These three right here? No, because the sun is casting a shadow across it. But 99% or 95, whatever it is, of the array is now turning on because the sun, as the sun comes up, the modules are turning on. So in-phase microinverter system wakes up sooner and goes to bed later because there's no stringing. So this, if I was to design a system like this with no extra roof space or square footage that I could add modules on each side like we did before, this particular system with a chimney right in the middle of the array would definitely be in phase because there'd be no way that I could string these modules to make sure that they were at max production. If we were to eliminate that chimney, put the tree where we put it back before, the sun is here, casting a shadow. Modules on an in-phase system that would be dead would be this one, this one, this one, this one. So that's basically the loss of production on an in-phase system. All the greens are still producing power, the whites aren't. If the sun moves across the sky, the sun's here now, these modules are not going to produce power anymore. This one's definitely not. But I've just added a few more. So you can see the array ever changes with the direction of the sun, and the modules still produce power if the homeowner is adamant about not cutting a tree down. Now we're going to go to Google Earth real quick and look at a couple issues on roofs. So right away I look at this house right here. It has tremendous amount of shading issues. Even this house that has pool thermal on it has some issues. There's a huge palm tree right here that's shading this. If this was a solar photovoltaic system and this was a central inverter, this whole array would be knocked out. This one will be producing, but this whole thing would be knocked out. So this system right here, even though this is a west-facing roof and actually southwest-facing roof, this homeowner, even though they wanted to go solar and had all intentions of going solar, if they didn't want to cut down those trees, we would definitely probably not be able to install a system on their roof because there would be no way for it to produce power. If I look at the size of those trees, we talked about those trees are 10 foot away from the home and they are 3 times as big as the fascia line. If the system was to go up here, I was to draw a straight line, I might be 12 feet, say, across. We can actually measure it. We have to go back down to the landscape view, but there would be no way for us to install a system on this home unless they cut these trees down. So that's it for shading issues, and we will see you in the next part 7 and solar phenom training where the smart get wise and the wise get wiser. Cheers and see you all next time.